Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. It's finished here. Aberdeen 0, Accies 0, in a fairly scrappy game where before kick-off he'd offered me a point, I'd have taken a point, so no real problems for me today. The big issue is obviously injuries, but we'll go into that. Joined today by Brandon and Lewis. Lewis, I'll come to you first, mate. What did you make of the game today?
Disappointed because I feel as though if we had just a bit of a stronger side, we would have won that game all day long.
Okay.
But when you look at the injuries we had and the players that were unavailable, I think it's a very good result. I think it was a very good result. We started the game a wee bit poorly, but we seemed to settle into it. And we had chances. Moyle had a good chance. Scott Martin had a very good chance. And you just feel if Anderson or Ogilpool were on the pitch, they would have took one of the chances and it would have been a win. But it's a really good point. It's an important point. I think that's up to 11th in the table now. Mm-hmm. So it's positive overall. But
yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with you, actually, to be honest. Like, I'm obviously very happy with the point, and I think given the players that were available, it's probably the strongest lineup we could have gave before the game. But I do agree that, and this is all if, buts and maybes, but if Anderson and Augie were on the pitch, I do think we maybe would have created more and maybe would have taken another chance. But at the end of the day, as a point, Brandon, I'll come to you, mate. What did you make of the game? I'm assuming you're the same, happy with the point?
I'm not happy with a point. As Lewis says, I thought start of the game we didn't really get going. But as the game went on, and especially the second half, I thought we looked the more comfortable side in the second half. I thought we were looking dangerous. We should have had a penalty. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, in this day and age, that's a stonewall penalty. If it's in the Premier League, it's a penalty with all the VAR nonsense. And then you're thinking all game, you're thinking we just need that one chance. And that one that breaks to Scott Martin, you're just like, put your boot through it, man. Even if you're side footing it, you need to go either side of the goalkeeper. It looks as if he's had that much time to think about it. He's just, do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to complain because with what options we had, I was very surprised that Rice actually went with the team he did, which was the one that I think most fans would have wanted. Hakeem Adolphin again, wow.
Phenomenal.
Just the later stages in that game there where it was getting a bit tense and we were maybe getting a bit worried where they were going to, we might have had a wee slight attack and then they were countering us with a mass amount of bodies. Just his composure, as he does, intercept the ball, then drive with it and just comfortably wins his back a fill to calm everything down. It's just, he's that different class. I think Aaron Martin as well, he was pretty decent. He was very composed, and I think that sort of showed to Jamie Hamilton and Scott McMahon when he had to get moved in to the centre back. But not all in all, I'm happy with a point. I think it's a fair point. I don't think Aberdeen, apart from the first sort of half hour, where they should have been, if we're being honest, they should maybe have been about 2-3-0 up. But apart from that half an hour, a point's a fair result.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. I don't think any players really get any bad marks from me today. Like, there's no player that I thought stood out for being relatively poor in any sense. Even, you know, when Cam Smith comes on, I'm kind of thinking Cam Smith. But I thought Cam Smith did all right, to be honest.
Cam Smith done well. I'm probably one of Cam Smith's biggest critics, and I thought when he came on, he done what he could have done for his ability. He sort of, I think the commentators couldn't have spoke highly enough of him. What he was doing, he was being a nuisance, and that's when you go up to Pataudry. I don't think there's much else you can do when you're playing up front for Accies. So I think him and Moyo done well. When you go to Pataudry and you're Accies, you can't. I don't know what Accies fans expect. I don't know what they were expecting us today. Maybe if we had Anderson, maybe if we had Augie, it might have been slightly different. But to go up there and get a point is brilliant. We're no bottom of the table anymore. Hopefully, it's a continuous downward spiral for Kelly. And when you're saying that players perhaps none of them played particularly bad, I'd agree in that. One player I'd say that was relatively quiet compared to what he has been of recent would be Ross Callaghan. I think he could perhaps maybe offered slightly more from what we've saw of him recently, but I'm not criticising him in any way. It's just I don't think he was the level in which he was of recent weeks, perhaps.
I'd say that's probably fair, Lewis. I'll bring you into this now, man. Two big injuries in the game today. Nathan Thomas, nobody really knew what his fitness level was like, but it looks as if he's rolled his ankles and he was picturing crutches. So, you know, that's more time this sideline. And Brian Easton looks as if he's twisted his knee. So he went off as well. What do you make of those two injuries at the time? How do you think we'll cope with them?
I'm gutted for Thomas because the limited games he's played, I think he's looked very, very good. And he just seems to be picking up these injuries. It was his groin he was out with before, so this isn't a recurrence. This is a completely new injury. I just feel for the boy because he's just back, and that's him again. Easton, he'll be a lot as well. Though I think recent games he's started to show his age a wee bit, but hopefully Sean Want's back to fitness and he can just slot in there. Hopefully Sean Want is back soon, but I'd be worried if we then have to go back to playing a Dolphin at centre half and then playing Trafford in that a Dolphin role. It doesn't work as well.
No, I mean, I agree with what Brandon was saying earlier on about a Dolphin in those later stages where his composure and he just seems to have legs for days. Just doesn't seem to tire, because when everyone else was tiring around him, he seemed to he was nipping to the
absolute unit, man.
He's an absolute. Oh, I love Hakeem Dolphin.
As Lewis says, Thomas, I was proper gutted for him. You can see it in his face. He looked so drained after it. He just looked scun up, and I felt so bad for him. If we're being realistic, he's been out for a length of time. So out of the two injuries, Easton is the most worrying one, because if he is fucked, in my opinion, he is fucked, because he was, as soon as he went down, it's as if he knew it was wrong. So the worrying thing is, I know Lewis has touched on Sean Want there, but apparently he's getting injured again. So the worrying thing is having to completely change yourself and play a Dolphin out with his position. So I just don't understand the injury situation. Like, the past 2 years, we seem to have more players injury on the injury table than we fucking do available. The injury table must be the size of a snooker fucking table, honestly. I just don't get it. There's clearly something. There's something all right. It can't just be bad luck. It can't be. There's something that's happening. I don't know if their intensity is too high in training. I don't know what it is. I'm not a fucking medical practitioner or whatever you want to call it, but there's something going on there that's not right. And I'm a bit sceptical of all that.
I think just to touch on the Easton being out thing, I think this, if he is out for a period of time, which it certainly looked as if he will be, I think this is the perfect opportunity for George Stanger to come in and do something. I mean, we've all talked about it. We've all been impressed when he's came on before, or started games before, and this could be the perfect chance. Just like Jamie Hamilton, you know, when Jamie Hamilton got his little run of games to try and maybe show himself off some more. I would say this is the perfect opportunity for Stanger, and it lets a Dolphin stay in the middle.
See if we had to play Chrissy Lindsay at centre back, and it meant Hakeem Dolphin was played in centre mid, I'd do it. So as long as you keep Hakeem Dolphin in centre mid, so I totally agree. George Stanger centre back, as long as that ensures that Hakeem Dolphin plays centre mid. We just need to keep him in centre mid. It doesn't matter who you're playing at centre back. Just don't change the setup that we've got if Easton's going to be it.
Just before we finish up, I'll ask you both to pick a man of the match. Mine, I think, is Hakeem Dolphin. Aaron Martin's a very close second with how well he was today, but I think Hakeem was unbelievable. Again, composure in the middle, never seemed to tire, and then obviously he got that head injury and played through it and didn't look to make any difference. So Hakeem Dolphin's my man of the match. Lewis, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I do 100%. Dolphin was superb today. He runs, he tackles, he dribbles, he passes. He was just terrific. My man of the match as well.
Brandon, your man of the match today.
I probably just need to agree with you. I think, although as we mentioned, nobody's particularly played bad, I just think the two standout players were definitely Aaron Martin and Hakeem Dolphin. Pivotal, we continue to keep playing him in that position, and hopefully what Rice says about the new contract is actually true, and we just get it done ASAP, because I lost count the amount of interceptions he made in that game. So I think he'll probably be about 30, 40 plus more than the person in second place now, because he was just simply outstanding, man.
I mean, I can tell you that Akeem Adolphin made 7 interceptions and Adam Martin made 8 clearances. So it just shows how pivotal those two players in particular are. And as we talked about in the podcast and in here, if he's not in that midfield, we are a much, much weaker squad. Which is why I think if Easton is out, we need to prioritise getting a centre back in there to keep Hakeem in the middle, because the day just highlighted it.
Either George Steiner or Chrissy Lindsay.
Before we go, we will obviously mention there was some news. They went midweek. The Accies Supporters Association has kind of started back up again. The 3 of us are all involved in it in some way. I'll leave linked in the description the Accies Supporters Association Twitter account, email address, and private Facebook page that you have to request to join as well. If any Accies fans are interested in finding out what it is, they also has a mailing list. If you again stick an email into the email address in the description, they'll get back to you. It's exciting. No, it is exciting. We know this has happened before, but it's kind of kicking up a little bit again. Brandon, you know how you're involved in it as well as myself and Lewis. How are you feeling about it?
No, it's certainly interesting and hopefully exciting times. I think it's been up before, and I think maybe lacked some sort of modernised ideas. I think that's perhaps where it's maybe not took off. It's just about building the sort of correct sort of foundations in place to ensure that it's something that works going forward. And I think it's just something that will benefit all Accies fans and the club, and can just sort of hopefully increase engagement and interest, and sort of hopefully build the relationship up again between the fans and the club, and hopefully just make everything better for Accies fans, which is pretty much the overall aim and hopefully objectives that we can create.
And Lewis, you were obviously, you know, a main part of this kind of getting off the ground, and yeah, I know you're very excited about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm buzzing. I think this is something that the fan base has been missing for a while, and it's a really big opportunity to bring us together and try and get some things done that we actually want. It's a really big opportunity, and we just need everyone to get behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if MD is interested in finding out some more, or you know, becoming a part of it, all the links are in the description for you to check out as well. But thank you very much for watching the review. We will be back after the Livingston game, big game that is. We know what happened last time. Let's hope we can correct it, and we'll see you again then.